What's up YouTube, it's the Equipment Junkie here, and today we are going to be reviewing the brand new Titleist TSi3 driver against my current gamer, the Taylormade SIM2. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. Alright guys, so I have been playing the Taylormade SIM2 since February of this year. My SIM cracked, and so Taylormade sent me a SIM2 as a replacement, and I've been playing it ever since, and it's a really good driver. I've had no complaints so far. I like it. There's really not much else to say. So that being said, on the PGA Tour, a lot of guys have switched to the Titleist TSi drivers who aren't even Titleist staffers, which you rarely see with Titleist, not because they're not a good brand, but just because in the metalwoods department, they're usually not the leaders. They're not in the forefront of that department. So to see guys switching, it kind of made me notice, and I was saying, hey, well, there's got to be a reason. So with that being said, I reached out to Titleist and I asked them if they could send us a driver, and that's exactly what they did. So the driver they sent us is a TSi3, 8 degree. For the sake of the review, it is down to 7 1/4. And the shaft is a Tensei CK Pro White 70TX, 45 inches. The driver we are testing it against is my gamer, which is a SIM2 8 degree. I play my gamer at 6 degrees aloft. For the sake of this review, I put it to 7 1/4, so the lofts would match up. And then the shaft is a Diamana D Plus Limited 70TX, again 45 inches. Are these clubs the exact same? No. The lofts are the same, the lengths are the same, but the shafts aren't the exact same. I don't have 2 CK Pro Whites, and I don't have 2 D Plus Limiteds to test. So I asked Titleist to send us what I felt was a pretty close cousin, you might say, of the D Plus. So they're close, they're not the exact same, but I think they'll be close enough to actually give us a good and fair review as far as numbers go, and as far as, you know, kind of me sharing what I feel about the drivers. All right, guys, so let's get into the numbers. I got a sheet of paper here. It's got all the numbers on it. I'll throw everything on the screen, but let's just jump right into it. Taylormade, ball speed's a little faster with the Taylormade. We got 173.9 miles an hour ball speed with the Taylormade and 172.8 with the Titleist. I'm not going to preface that with anything, but I'm going to kind of add in my own thoughts after that as to why I think the numbers are what they are. So just bear with me here. Club speed, a little slower on the Taylormade. It's close, but it's a little slower. 116.8 with the Taylormade and 117 with the Titleist. Close, slightly different, very close. Launch angle, very similar. 14.4 with the Taylormade degrees of launch. Titleist 14.2 degrees of launch. So both launching, you know, relatively well, relatively close. That's kind of where I like to see launch at when I'm hitting the shot I was trying to hit with these drivers, which is kind of more of a power draw, kind of a lower spinning draw. As far as spin goes, not far off, but Taylormade has the edge here. 2493 RPM of spin with the Taylormade and 2603 RPM of spin with the Titleist. So close, but Taylormade has the edge. Something that spins less, especially when it's, you know, it's not like 1600 versus 2100. Something that spins less in this range of around 2500 RPM, the one that spins less is usually the one that's going to go a little bit further, as long as the other numbers are close. As far as carry goes, Taylormade 301.5 in the air, and the Titleist is 298.3 in the air. So the Taylormade edges out the Titleist by 3 yards. Very close again. Curve. The Taylormade curved 34.2 feet left on average, and the Titleist curved 59.6 feet left on average. Now, I want to follow that up by saying the Taylormade, when we averaged it out, the Taylormade had 2 rightward shots in its dispersion pattern, which is why the curve might seem closer to straight. But in reality, I would just say the Taylormade is a little bit more fade biased. The Titleist, not one missed to the right. They all curved left, and it averaged 59 feet to the left. So the Titleist, I believe, is a little bit more draw biased, and the Taylormade, I believe, is a little bit more fade biased. And when you look at spin, you can kind of put those two together, because something that spins less is usually going to be more fade biased, and something that spins more is usually going to be more draw biased. So, you know, they're close, but definitely the Taylormade is a little bit more fade biased, for sure. Smash factor, Taylormade 1.487 is what I was getting, and with the Titleist, the smash factor was a 1.475. So, as far as numbers go, the drivers are pretty close. What do I think? I think I could play either one of these drivers. I think if one company didn't exist, I think that easily I could play the other company's driver without much issue, without much hesitation. I think I got better numbers on the Taylormade because when I hit a driver, I tend to hit it in that toe spot. You know, some people always say, oh, the toe, you know, with Taylormades, the sweet spot isn't usually in the center with a Taylormade. It's usually about right there. And when I hit drivers, that's usually where I hit it. And so I think with the Taylormade, I'm producing a more efficient drive as far as smash goes, and a further drive and a higher ball speed drive, because I do think that the sweet spot is right here. So the Titleist, I think the sweet spot's right in the middle. I don't think it's high toe. And that would explain the little bit of loss in ball speed and efficiency, because I'm swinging the Titleist faster, but I'm not quite as efficient because I think I'm hitting it a little more high toe. And I think because of that, it's not reading ball speed as fast. Another reason, well, not another reason, but the reason I wouldn't play the Titleist is because it doesn't go down enough in loft for me personally. So you're seeing that at 7 1/4, I'm spinning these 2,500 to 2,600. I like my spin to be right around 2,000, 2,200, somewhere around there. And because of the Taylormade and the fact that I can go down to 6 degrees of loft, I can bring that spin down exactly where I want it. The issue with the Titleist that I had personally is that I can't get the spin down at 7 1/4. It stays at 2,500, it stays at 2,600 RPM. And because of that, it's just not going quite as far. All right, guys, so aside from numbers, there are a few other things I wanted to talk about between the Titleist TSi3 and the Taylormade SIM2. First, I want to talk looks. As far as looks go, I don't feel like you're going to go wrong with either one of the drivers. I think it depends what you like. Personally, if it's me, I kind of prefer the look of the Titleist. I like that classic look. I think it's just classic. I think it looks good. I don't think there's too much going on, and that's what I like about the Titleist. As far as feel goes, they both feel really good. I think the Taylormade has more of a crunch, like a very powerful crunch off the driver, and I think the Titleist has more of a high-pitched, powerful feeling. They both feel hot off the face. It's just Taylormade's always been slightly more crunchy, just slightly, and this Titleist is a little bit more pingy and just kind of higher pitched. Again, nonetheless, I don't think you go wrong with either one as far as feel goes or looks. I think it just depends on your preference. As far as workability goes, pretty easily, I think it goes to the Titleist. I found the Titleist just super easy to work. Left to right holes, I could just see a fade and fade it, and right to left holes, I could just see a draw and draw it. Now, because of the amount of spin that the Titleist is imparting, that could be the reason that it was easier to work, just due to the fact that it was spinning more. A club that spins more is going to curve more. So that could be the reason. But nonetheless, I found the Titleist easier to work. And then the last thing is height. As far as, you know, variability in height, I felt like I could hit the Titleist really high if I wanted to, and I also feel like I could hit it really low. And with my Taylormade, I kind of feel like I just kind of hit it mid-high, and it just goes mid-high. It's harder to hit low. I'm not 100% sure why that is, but it's just a little more difficult to work. It doesn't like to move. It likes to be hit and it goes mid-high or it draws. I can draw it and fade it if I want to, but it's harder to work for sure. And that, again, as far as workability goes, I think that's a little bit due to spin. I don't think my sim spins enough to work as easily. But as far as height goes, the Titleist is just easier to flight. I could hit it high, I could hit it low. It's just really good like that. So as far as those four things go, I mean, I'm giving it to the Titleist. Numbers-wise, yeah, the Titleist isn't perfect. And again, I think it's because of that strike point I was talking about. And then the loft. Now, I did play the Taylormade at the same loft for testing purposes. But when I play my Taylormade at 6 degrees. And I can't get the Titleist that low. So those would be the two reasons I wouldn't play the Titleist. But you could easily argue that, hey, you're only imparting a little bit more spin and you're only losing a little bit of ball speed, but you're gaining the workability. That's why I'm also saying if one of the companies didn't exist, I could easily play. Like if Taylormade didn't exist, I could easily play the TSi3 because I think it's that good of a driver. It's just the reason I wouldn't is because I'm giving up a little bit of distance and I'm giving up a little bit of that lower spin that I want, that's what's hard. That's what's hard about finding good golf equipment is you have to really decide what you need. At my level and the courses I'm playing, I feel like I can work the Taylormade well enough and flight it well enough to where I think getting that little bit of extra ball speed and that little bit extra carry distance and lower spin is more important than the workability stuff because I can still work the Taylormade. Again, I don't think it's as good workability wise, but because I can still work it well enough, I think that's why I'm going to play the Taylormade. But like I said, I mean, I'll keep saying it, I don't think you can go wrong either way. I think you got to find where you strike it on the face, if you tend to miss it more center or hit it more center, or you tend to hit it more high toe. And then from there, I think you got to find the right loft that works for you. And if you can find those two things, if you can get the right loft above 7 1/4, that works for you. And then you are a center strike point player. I think the TSi3 is a freaking monster. I think it is unbelievably good. I think it's just superb. But if you have to play lower than 7 1/4 and you have more of a toe strike point, I'm not sure the TSi3 is exactly where it's at for you. So for me, this is where I'm at. You have to test these drivers. Nonetheless, I mean, it's such a good driver. Titleist has come such a long way as far as metalwoods go. They're really killing it. I mean, I don't even know what to say. I mean, a few years ago, I mean, you wouldn't even test a Titleist because it's just they make good wedges and irons, etc. But it's just a Titleist. I'm gonna go play a Taylormade or a Callaway, and now, I mean, they're right up there. I mean, they're easily top 3. They're probably top 2 this year. I think Titleist and Taylormade are 1 and 2, and you could easily interchange them. So Titleist is killing it. Absolutely unbelievable. Great job with the TSi3. All that being said, I want to thank Titleist for sending us this driver to review. They've been super supportive of us and helping us and sending us some stuff to test and review. So thank you for that. If you have any questions about this review, don't hesitate to comment, DM us on Instagram. Please like this video, subscribe, follow us on Instagram. And yeah, we'll see you in the next video. Hope you enjoyed this. And yeah, cheers. Peace out.